Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching World Today. Now, what happens when two of the world's biggest superpowers zero in on one volatile country sitting at the heart of South Asia? Welcome to the new great game where the United States of America and China are locked in a 21st century power play and Pakistan is the prize. From billion-dollar loan rollovers and high-profile military meetings to covert arms deals and geopolitical chess moves, this is not just diplomacy, it's survival. And in this game, the stakes are nothing short of global order.
China, according to reports, has just rolled over $3.4 billion in loans to Pakistan, bringing Islamabad's foreign exchange reserves to $14 billion. To most, it looked like routine diplomacy, but dig deeper, there is more to it. It was Beijing's opening gambit in intensifying US-China power struggle, one where control of Pakistan is seen as vital for reshaping the future of the Indo-Pacific, Central Asia and the broader Islamic world. Pakistan is more than just a neighbor to India. It is a pivot, a launchpad, a chessboard of corridors, pipelines and military alliances. But for China, Pakistan is the corridor to the Arabian Sea, a way out of the Malacca Strait. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, allows Chinese goods and oil to bypass checkpoints controlled by the US Navy. For the US, Pakistan is a security lever, next to Iran, adjacent to Afghanistan, and tightly linked to both the Taliban and Saudi Arabia. It is the only Muslim nuclear power and the only country that has been both an American ally, sometimes simultaneously. China has pumped over $62 billion into Pakistan since 2018, building highways, power plants, railway lines, and most crucially, developing Gwadar port. It gives Beijing a direct sea outlet to oil-rich West Asia and a future naval outpost to project power in the Indian Ocean. June 2025, President Donald Trump hosted Pakistan's Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, for the lunch at the White House. That is not just for optics, it is symbolism. In Pakistan's military-dominated political system, being seen as the highest table of power in Washington is like winning the geopolitical lottery. Both countries want to be seen as Pakistan's primary military benefactor, but for different reasons. China wants long-term alignment, the US wants tactical access, and to ensure Pakistan doesn't drift entirely into Beijing's orbit. For India, CPEC is more than infrastructure, it is provocation. The corridor passes through territory India claims as its own, Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. New Delhi sees a two-front challenge, China in the north, Pakistan in the west, and Chinese-funded military projects tying them together. So when Trump hosts Pakistan's army chief and supplies F-16 upgrades, India sees betrayal. China offers debt relief, ports and long-term partnership. The US offers military prestige, diplomatic reach and market access. But neither can claim victory yet. Because Islamabad is doing what middle powers do best, balancing, hedging, extracting. With Farah Khan, Bureau Report.
Michael Kougelman joins me from Washington, D.C. He's Senior Fellow, Asia Pacific Foundation. Michael, thank you so much for doing this. Let's begin with the fact that here is a new $3.4 billion rollover that China has announced for Pakistan. And we do understand the importance of Pakistan for China, but there's also an increasing engagement between Washington, D.C. and Islamabad, or we can also say Rawalpindi. Why is that?
Yeah, we know that so many Pakistan watchers in Washington and beyond are still trying to get a sense as to what's going on here. And I think that what it really comes down to is that Pakistan, its civilian and its military leadership, have been very successful at getting the attention of this Trump administration, which is, of course, a very unconventional and unorthodox administration, particularly in terms of how it looks at foreign policy and in terms of how it looks at relations with allies and partners. So what Pakistan has done is it has appealed to this administration by tapping into the most pressing interest, the most passionate interest that this administration has when it comes to foreign affairs, and that includes things like critical minerals. as well as cryptocurrency. So Pakistan had this major investment forum in Pakistan a few weeks ago focused on critical minerals, and it got a senior US government presence there. Pakistan has also been able to tap into the personal and familial links in the Trump administration for its advantage. So, for example, Pakistan is now engaging with a crypto company that has Trump's sons as a part of it. And as a result, that company has actually signed some deals with Pakistan's new crypto council. And I think that Pakistan knows that for Trump, family is very important. And, that seems to have worked. And it's led to other things, such as, among other things, this very surprising meeting that the army chief had with President Trump at the White House some days ago. So I wouldn't say this is a major shift in relations, but it certainly is a lot different than what I think many of us expected to see with this
Right.
relationship in the second Trump era.
Right, but Michael, there has been a souring of ties between India and the United States of America post Operation Sindoor. The fact that India did not give Donald Trump credit for the ceasefire that he claims to have brokered between the two countries, as opposed to Pakistan that immediately came out and gave credit. In fact, they've also nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Trump administration, including Trump himself, genuinely want a partnership, a strong partnership with India. You have a lot of champions of partnership with India in this relationship, and that's why I don't think we should let the events of recent days make us think that this administration is taking a different tack. I think you had a convergence of developments that simply benefited Pakistan, but were not meant from a U.S. perspective to alienate India. So, for example, and this gets back to the personal dimensions of Trump himself, he's someone that likes to be seen as the ultimate deal maker, the ultimate peace broker. So he wanted to take credit for a U.S. role in the ceasefire. He wanted to make that very public, not realizing or not caring that for India, this is a very sensitive issue, and that India does not want the US or any other country to be talking about external mediation. He did not mean to upset India by doing that, but I think that he was focused on his own personal goals and motivations in that regard, but that trumped everything. The same with his most recent comment about Kashmir. He doesn't necessarily want that. He may not realize or he may not care that by bringing attention to this idea of a Kashmir resolution, that's something that would not be received well in New Delhi.
That's
He
right.
wants to be the person. I think he's intrigued by the intractability of what he sees as the intractability of that dispute, and he wants to be seen as the guy that can try to fix it, so to speak. Clearly, that's where you'd have to hope that there would be his aides, his advisors would prevail on him, and make very clear in due course that that's just not a good tack to take if you want to ensure that the relationship with India stays in a good place.
Right. We'll keep a close watch on the Pakistan versus China versus America, the entire geopolitics at play over here. Michael Kougelman, thank you so much for joining us. Now, a Hindu woman was gang raped and filmed in Bangladesh, allegedly by a son of a BNP leader. 5 arrests have been made, but initially police delays in arresting the prime accused led to accusations of a cover-up. Protests erupted across Bangladesh with Hindu community members, women's rights organizations, and university students demanding justice and safety for minorities. The incident has raised concerns about atrocities against Hindu community and Hindu minorities in Bangladesh. According to the survivor and her brother's accounts, the loan repayment date had passed, prompting Fazar Ali to visit the family. At that time, neither the survivor's brothers nor her parents were present. As she refused to answer the door, Fazar broke it open, stripped her naked, beat and raped her. According to locals, Fazar used to run drug and gambling operations in the locality and claimed to be a member of the Khaleda Zia-led Bangladesh Nationalist Party, that's the BNP, despite holding no official position. TikTok's time in America seems to have come to an end. President Donald Trump said he has a group of very wealthy people who could be the future owners of TikTok, with TikTok being seen as a threat to America's security. It is to be seen whether the app, which according to Trump helped him win the 2024 presidential elections, can pass the test and continue to top the charts of American apps.
Even if China sees in President Donald Trump an adversary with tariff war looming large, Chinese company TikTok finds an admirer in the president. The US president, during an interview, said that he has a buyer for TikTok, though he will require the approval of the Chinese government. The app has survived a ban so far in the US, even though it is perceived as a threat to national security. TikTok's extension requires its parent company, ByteDance, to reach a deal and sell the platform by September 17. Trump, who had earlier criticized TikTok during his first tenure, later praised it in 2024 after he won the election.
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok had something to do with it.
China had continued to reiterate its position regarding TikTok even in the past.
China has made clear its position on the issue of TikTok many times, and its opposition to additional tariffs is also consistent and clear.
The US Congress had passed a law forcing TikTok's sale in April last year. The lawmakers cited fears that the app or its parent company could hand over US user data to the Chinese government, which TikTok denied. Former President Joe Biden had signed legislation that gave China's ByteDance about 6 months to divest the popular TikTok to an American company. The law was supposed to take effect on 19th January, but Trump delayed its enforcement. TikTok earlier challenged the constitutionality of the law, but lost its appeal to the US Supreme Court. With Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama will address a major 3-day gathering of Buddhist religious figures this week ahead of his 90th birthday. This event is also seen by many of his followers as the pivotal moment when the Tibetan spiritual leader will share details about his succession. The Dalai Lama, who turns 90 on the 6th of July, said there will be a framework to discuss his succession. The 1989 Nobel Peace Laureate, in his traditional saffron and maroon robes, has lived in exile in northern India since 1959 after fleeing a failed uprising against the rule of Mao Zedong's communist regime. Chinese officials have repeatedly said the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama should be decided by following national laws that decree use of the golden urn and the birth of reincarnations within China's borders. But many Tibetans suspect any Chinese role in the selection as a ploy to exert influence on the community. In his book, Voice for the Voiceless, released in March this year, the Dalai Lama said his successor would be born outside China. The United States, which faces stiff competition from China, has repeatedly said it is committed to advancing the human rights of Tibetans. In 2024, then-President Joe Biden signed a law pressurizing Beijing to resolve dispute over Tibet's demands for greater autonomy. India is also estimated to be home to more than 100,000 Tibetan Buddhists who are free to study and work here. Many Indians revere the Dalai Lama.
The rest of my life I will dedicate for the benefit of others, as much as possible, as extensive as possible. There will be some kind of a framework within which we can talk about the continuation of the institution of the Dalai Lamas.
The chief United Nations nuclear inspector has widened the divide with the Trump administration over how severely the United States set back Iran's nuclear program, declaring that it could be enriching uranium in a matter of months, even as President Trump has repeatedly claimed that Tehran had lost interest in the effort.
Head of the UN nuclear watchdog, Rafael Grossi, in a recent statement warned that Iran could begin enriching uranium again within few months. He also said that the US strikes on Iran fell short of causing total damage to its nuclear program. The US had struck 3 key Iranian nuclear sites in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan before a ceasefire began. While US military officials have provided information about the planning of the strikes, they offered no evidence of their effectiveness against Iran's nuclear program. Trump again and again claimed that the attacks had completely and totally obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities. President Trump had posted on Truth Social that he was not speaking to Iran and was not offering the country anything, and he reiterated his assertions that the United States had totally obliterated Tehran's nuclear facilities. Meanwhile, responding to Trump, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson said that Trump's shifting stance on lifting economic sanctions against Tehran were not aimed at solving problems between the two countries.
You have previously witnessed similar instances where in the morning a topic is raised suggesting that a certain action is supposed to take place, and by the afternoon a new package of sanctions is imposed against Iran. Therefore, these fluctuations and repeated changes in positions, which we have observed over the last 3 to 4 months as a consistent pattern in US behavior, are in no way reliable or trustworthy. These developments should be seen as part of psychological and media games, rather than serious statements aimed at negotiation or resolving issues.
He further went on to criticize the positions and actions taken by the International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi.
We are strongly dissatisfied with the positions and actions of Director General of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi. We are critical and believe that he has not acted within the framework of his technical duties and responsibilities as Director General of the agency.
While Iran has insisted its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes, Western powers remain skeptical. With Neha Kumari, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, it was the wedding the internet couldn't stop buzzing about. Jeff Bezos tied the knot in Venice, but it was Lauren Sanchez who truly stole the spotlight. From vintage McQueen to custom Versace, the bride turned every moment into a fashion headline. And yes, even the pajama party came with a touch of red carpet glam. Take a look.
After weeks of buzz, backlash and media frenzy, the most anticipated wedding of the season finally took place this Saturday. Billionaire Jeff Bezos tied the knot with longtime partner Lauren Sanchez in a glamorous celebration in Venice, Italy. But while the guest list and venue were undeniably dazzling, it was Lauren's jaw-dropping wardrobe that truly stole the show. The bride's fashion journey began the moment she touched down in Venice. Lauren turned heads in a rare 2003 black Alexander McQueen dress sourced from Tab Vintage. She paired the archival piece with sleek $510 sunglasses from Celine, a sophisticated nod to timeless glamour. For the welcome party on Thursday, Lauren embraced bold bridal elegance in a custom Schiaparelli gown. The fitted dress featured intricate floral embroidery across the top and was styled with a sparkling engagement ring and diamond earrings, blending haute couture with personal sentiment. On Friday, she stepped out in a vintage-inspired Dior ensemble, a crisp buttoned top paired with a knee-length skirt. Completing the look were Tom Ford glasses, a chic bandana and a classic Hermes handbag, effortlessly combining European flair with understated luxury. The main event, however, came on the wedding day. Lauren walked down the aisle in a breathtaking high-necked Italian lace gown custom-made by Dolce & Gabbana. According to Vogue, the stunning creation took 900 hours of meticulous atelier work. A true labor of love and craftsmanship. Netizens on the internet are even comparing that look to Priyanka Chopra's wedding dress, giving emphasis to details around the neck area. There was a vast dissimilarity in the styling. But the fashion parade didn't end there. For the post-wedding party, a pajama-themed soiree aptly titled Dolce Notte, meaning Sweet Night. Lauren chose an Atelier Versace strapless georgette dress, complete with crystal mesh embroidery. While guests kept it cozy, Sanchez elevated the theme with red carpet-worthy sparkle and sophistication. From vintage McQueen to bespoke Versace, Lauren Sanchez turned her wedding celebration into a full-blown couture movement, one stunning look at a time. With Sujata Sharda, Bureau Report, India Today.
That's all in this edition of World Today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and take care.